family is supposed to be your first safe space. It's where you're told you belong. It's where you're supposed to feel accepted, supported, and understood. But for the Sigma male, that isn't always the case. He often finds himself stepping back, keeping distance, even from blood. This distance isn't always anger. It's not always rejection. In fact, most of the time it comes from a deep sense of self-awareness. The Sigma male isn't trying to break ties to be cold. He avoids family connections because they often pull him away from his truth, from his balance, from his freedom. He's wired differently. While most people rely on close circles for emotional support, the Sigma male finds that support within himself. He's learned how to deal with pain, confusion, and pressure without needing a safety net. That doesn't mean he hates family. It just means he doesn't want to be tangled in systems that ask him to shrink, bend, or break who he is. Family comes with expectations, unspoken rules, guilt, traditions. And often those things don't match the way a Sigma male wants to live. He doesn't want to be told when to show up, how to behave, or what life path to follow. And when family tries to enforce those things, he steps back. This can be misunderstood. People may think he's selfish or cold. But what they don't see is that distance is his way of protecting both sides. He's not trying to destroy bonds. He's trying to stop cycles. In this video, we'll break down 6 reasons why the Sigma male avoids family. These reasons may not be obvious at first, but if you've ever felt the need to pull away from the people who raised you, this will help you understand why. Reason number 1, he seeks emotional autonomy. The Sigma male values one thing above almost everything else: freedom. And emotional freedom is at the top of that list. He doesn't want to rely on others to manage his emotions. He wants to feel, process, and handle things on his own terms. This is where family can become a challenge. In many families, emotions are shared, managed, and even expected to be processed together. People talk things out, lean on each other, and often cross emotional boundaries without realizing it. For the Sigma male, this can feel suffocating. He doesn't want others managing his mood or expecting him to carry theirs. He doesn't want to be pulled into emotional drama every time something happens. And he especially doesn't want to be the person everyone runs to when they can't deal with their own problems. This doesn't mean he lacks empathy. In fact, many Sigma males feel deeply. But they also know that emotional dependence can turn into emotional control. When a family member constantly expects support, validation, or emotional labor, the Sigma male starts to feel trapped. So instead of arguing or resisting, he steps back. He keeps his emotional world guarded. He sets clear internal boundaries. He avoids conversations that lead to guilt, obligation, or pressure to open up when he's not ready. This makes him seem distant, even cold. But in truth, he's just protecting his emotional space. He needs that space to think clearly, to grow, and to stay grounded. If someone tries to pull him into a cycle of shared emotional chaos, he'll quietly disappear. He chooses solitude over forced connection. Not because he hates people, but because he's building emotional strength from the inside out. He doesn't want to be shaped by guilt or pulled by tradition. He wants to feel what he feels, fully, clearly, and without interference. That's why he avoids certain family dynamics. Because emotional autonomy isn't just a preference for him. It's survival. Reason number 2, he fears being controlled. Family isn't always about love. Sometimes it's about control, expectations, pressure, roles that were never chosen but placed. And the Sigma male rejects all of that. He doesn't want to be the good son if that means losing himself. He doesn't want to be the responsible one if that means carrying weight that isn't his. And he definitely doesn't want to be told how to live by people who haven't lived the life he wants. Control can be subtle. It can show up as guilt when he doesn't call enough. It can sound like, "You think you're better than us," when he makes different choices. It can come through pressure to show up, to agree, to follow a path, just because that's what family does. The Sigma male sees through this quickly, and he resists it even faster. Not with a fight, but with silence, with space, with refusal to play the role he didn't choose. He doesn't do this to hurt anyone. He does it because he refuses to be boxed in. Family can sometimes hold on to old versions of him. They remember the child, not the man. They speak to who he was, not who he's become. And when he tries to grow, they can't always accept that growth. Rather than argue or explain, he just stops showing up in the same way. He avoids the gatherings that feel more like performance than connection. He stays away from conversations that always turn into advice or judgment. He knows when people are trying to shape him, and he doesn't let them. This distance protects his future. Because once control takes root, it spreads. And the Sigma male would rather be alone than lose control of his time, his choices, or his mind. To others it may look like avoidance, but to him it's a clear, strategic boundary. One that keeps him free and keeps him honest with himself. Reason number 3, he detects codependency early. One of the strongest instincts the Sigma male develops is the ability to spot emotional traps. And one of the biggest ones, especially in family systems, is codependency. He sees it early. He feels the pressure building. And instead of getting pulled in, he quietly steps out. Codependency is a pattern where people rely on each other in unhealthy ways. It might look like constant guilt-tripping, or always needing approval, or refusing to let someone grow because that growth feels like abandonment. In many families, this behavior is normalized. But the Sigma male sees the danger in it right away. He notices when people can't function without constant attention. He picks up on patterns where love is tied to sacrifice. He sees when being the strong one turns into carrying emotional burdens for everyone else. These aren't just minor annoyances to him, they're red flags. Because the Sigma male has worked hard to build independence, codependency feels like quicksand. The more you try to support it, the deeper you sink. And soon, you're not living your life. You're managing someone else's emotions full-time. Rather than argue or fight about it, he simply withdraws. He limits contact. He stops sharing personal updates. He avoids phone calls that always turn into emotional dumping grounds. Not because he doesn't care, but because he refuses to enable a pattern that's unhealthy for both sides. This decision doesn't come from pride. It comes from clarity. He knows he can't grow if he's constantly being pulled back into a system that resists change. He also knows that enabling codependency only makes it worse. Some family members might say he's selfish. Others might accuse him of cutting people off. But the truth is, he's drawing a line. A quiet, firm boundary that says, "I won't play this game." And that boundary is what allows him to stay strong, clear-headed, and fully present in his own life. Because the more he avoids emotional enmeshment, the more freedom he creates, for himself and even for others, if they're willing to grow. Reason number 4, he preserves his inner peace. The Sigma male doesn't chase peace. He builds it. Slowly. Quietly. Day by day. And once he finds it, he defends it like his life depends on it, because in many ways it does. Family can bring warmth, love, and comfort. But it can also bring chaos, arguments, jealousy, old wounds that never healed. Unspoken competition. Pressure to keep secrets. Or pretend like everything's fine when it's clearly not. The Sigma male sees this and chooses peace instead. He knows his mind works best in calm. His creativity grows when he has space. His intuition sharpens when he's not surrounded by noise. So when family becomes a source of stress instead of strength, he doesn't hesitate to step back. He's not afraid to miss a holiday dinner if it means protecting his peace. He's not interested in showing up just to meet someone's expectations. He doesn't entertain drama just to keep the peace, because fake peace isn't peace at all. This mindset might confuse others. They might say he's distant or antisocial. But what they don't understand is that the Sigma male chooses environments carefully. He knows the price of emotional chaos, and he refuses to pay it. His peace wasn't handed to him. It was earned. Through hard conversations, solitude, reflection, and growth. And now that he has it, he won't let anyone, even family, threaten it. He doesn't want to fight. He doesn't want to argue. He just wants peace. And if that means stepping away from toxic relatives, old family patterns, or loud personalities, he'll do it without regret. Because when your mind is your most valuable tool, peace is your protection. And the Sigma male knows better than to let anyone, even someone he loves, take that away. Reason number 5. He values space over proximity. Most people are taught that closeness equals love. That being around family all the time is a sign of loyalty, care, and connection. But the Sigma male doesn't see it that way. To him, space is not the absence of love, it's proof of it. He doesn't need to see someone every week to care about them. He doesn't need to be involved in every family discussion to show respect. In fact, constant closeness often drains him. It overwhelms his senses, scatters his thoughts, and pulls him away from what matters most to him: solitude, clarity, and purpose. The Sigma male thrives in space. Space to think. Space to move. Space to live on his own terms. He's not trying to run from people. He's trying to stay true to himself. And that means creating physical and emotional distance when needed. Family, however, often sees space as rejection. They might say, "You never visit," or "You don't care anymore." But what they miss is that the Sigma male shows love differently. He protects his energy so he can show up strong when it actually counts, not just to be physically present out of guilt. He also values space because it keeps relationships clean. Too much closeness often leads to friction. Old wounds get reopened. Boundaries get crossed. And people start expecting more than he can give. So instead of burning out, he builds space. Instead of fake smiles and forced talks, he chooses honesty by staying away when he's not aligned. This doesn't mean he cuts everyone off. It means he chooses when, where, and how he connects. He may check in quietly. He may send support in subtle ways. But he does it without compromising the space he needs to be fully himself. Because for the Sigma male, real love doesn't cling. It respects space. And any bond that demands constant contact just to survive was never strong to begin with. Reason number 6. He protects his identity and boundaries. From an early age, most families try to shape you. They hand you labels, roles, and expectations. Sometimes it's subtle. You're the smart one, or you always help. Other times it's more direct. This is what you should do, or this is who you're supposed to be. But the Sigma male resists all of it. He doesn't want to be boxed in. He doesn't want to be assigned a personality or a future based on family patterns. He wants to create himself, on his terms, in his own time. This is one of the deepest reasons he avoids family. Because many families, without even realizing it, ask their members to trade authenticity for acceptance. The Sigma male refuses that trade. He knows who he is, or at the very least, he's committed to finding out. And he understands that spending too much time in an environment that constantly reminds you of who you were can make it hard to grow into who you're becoming. This is why he protects his identity with space, silence, and firm boundaries. He doesn't argue with people who try to define him. He doesn't explain why he's changed. He simply lives according to his truth and avoids any setting that tries to undo that progress. Boundaries are key here. He sets them clearly, even if he doesn't say them out loud. He knows how much contact he can handle. He knows which conversations to avoid. He knows how to say no without guilt. And if those boundaries aren't respected, he distances himself. Not to punish, but to protect. Because once someone pushes past the line too many times, he stops giving them access to his world. This can make him seem cold. But in reality, it's a form of self-respect. He's not being difficult. He's being clear. He worked hard to become who he is, and he won't allow old systems to pull him back into habits, roles, or beliefs that no longer fit. He doesn't owe anyone access to his identity. He doesn't have to let people into the most private parts of his mind just because they share his last name. And that understanding gives him peace, power, and real freedom. By protecting his boundaries, he protects his future. And for the Sigma male, that's a price worth paying, even if it means being misunderstood. It's easy to label distance as coldness, to look at someone who avoids family and think something's wrong. But when you really understand the Sigma male, you realize it's not about rejection. It's about self-preservation. He doesn't pull away because he doesn't care. He pulls away because he does. He cares about staying true to himself. He cares about protecting his energy. He cares about growing into the person he's meant to be, and sometimes that growth can't happen when he's surrounded by voices trying to keep him small. The 6 reasons we explored reveal a deep truth. The Sigma male avoids family not because he lacks love, but because he values clarity, peace, independence, and authenticity more than fitting in. He knows when a connection is helping him and when it's holding him back. He's not here to play roles. He's not here to make people comfortable. He's here to live real, to think deeply, and to move with purpose. And that path often means walking away from places that expect him to shrink. This kind of decision is never easy, but it's honest. And in a world full of fake smiles and forced loyalty, honesty is rare. If you're a Sigma male, or if you've ever felt like you needed to create space from family just to breathe again, know this: you're not alone. You're not broken. And you're not wrong for protecting your mind, your peace, or your future. You're simply living your truth. And if someone can't respect that truth, maybe they were only meant to be part of your past, not your path forward.